Tonight on DFY Magic Themes, we're going to be talking about building your business online. Well, good evening to you. First in the room tonight was Lynn, closely followed by Barry, then Richard. I know everyone else will come in as we go along, and we'll be talking tonight about building your business online, do's and don'ts, all the usual fun on the Friday call. So we'll get going very, very shortly. Well, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Good to see everyone in here as always for the Friday call. Lots to talk about tonight. How are you doing, Robert?
It's called Happy Friday.
It's always a happy Friday, isn't it?
Especially in the working world.
After the week we've had. But tonight we wanted to get going on talking about building your business online and the importance of looking after customers, the support you're going to give them, and also we're going to talk a little bit about onboarding. And I've been playing around with onboarding a little bit over the last couple of weeks. And the easiest way I found to onboard people, especially in the rank and rent business, is get a website online. Just take action and build yourself a rank and rent website. Get it up online. Don't worry about ranking it online straight away. Just get a site built. Get content on it. You know, the DFY themes, the members who are here of DFY Magic Themes know we have the ready built themes already that you can upload very, very quickly. You know, I built a site this week and it took me, probably half an hour to set up in total. I know the system. You know, but it didn't take me very long. And the thing is I'm getting ready to rent that site out to a local business. I'm not worrying about Google rankings. I'm not worrying about GMBs. I'm literally going to get that site up and reach out to a bunch of businesses through Google. Anyone who hasn't got a website, reach out to them and say, hey, here's one available. I know you haven't got a website. First come, first served. And really push the website out to people. Once you've got them on board, then it's ultimately the support, isn't it, Robert? It's how you look after them and have the backing behind you to do that.
And that is a great segue to what we're going to talk about tonight. But you know what? If you can get the build down, and what you said takes minutes, right? When we develop a theme, it takes
weeks.
I'd like to say it's quick, but it's not. There's a lot of effort to go into that build with the spun content and get everything right. But that doesn't matter. The purpose of Dungeon Magic Themes is not for you to have to do that. It's for us and our devs to do that initial hard work and make it simple for the build. But that being said, the build is done, right? The build is pretty easy. The editing is easier than ever. However, if you're going to start promising services and you're going to start promising things to people that you want to onboard, what happens when you can't deliver? I'm sure, I think, because I was one of them, sometimes people get involved with online entrepreneurship and really think hard and long that, oh crap, what happens if my phone starts ringing? Oh crap, what happens if I start getting emails for these things that I'm promising that I can't do? And I think sometimes they almost, I'll say it for myself. It was quite a few years ago. It was like, I had no idea what I was doing. So I was self-sabotaging myself and my success for the fear of not being able to help the people for stuff that I was going to promise them. That goes back quite a few years for me, but that is a fear for people. That is a fear for anybody. Maybe you can admit it, maybe you can't. But when you say you're going to promise something and your word doesn't mean something to you, I'd be shocked. But I guess, there are different people out there in the world. There's car salesmen, and I'm not picking on car salesmen, but they tend to have the personality of, if I can just get somebody to sit in that seat, the car will sell it itself. They just got to smell it and touch it and feel it, and then they're going to buy it, and they know that. But the reality is, if you are getting involved with different things online and you don't have the support behind you and you don't have a support community behind you, you're listening to the right video, because that's what we do. Our support is what that's about. So as you go forward and you have these sites that are great looking sites with a lot of content that looks like you took weeks, months to build because the client doesn't know, right? But once you onboard them and you're telling them, we're going to help you get leads. Now, what can we do to help you besides the website? Well, we can do content, we can do postings, we can do backlinking, we can do this service, we can do that service, right? If you don't have those skills, what do you do? What would you say, Stephen, to somebody right now that's listening? They barely know how to build a website, but because of the training, they can get a website up, right?
Well, go to that URL above us, get initial free training on learning the stuff we do. Once you understand what we do, and we make life easier, that's why we're called Done For You Magic Themes. And the inner circle group we run as well. That group, you can come into that group and say, look, I've got a client that wants me, let's say for an example, wants me to make their GMB look fantastic, Google my business listing, and they want that ranked. And you go, well, where do I start with that? What do I do? You can put a post into the inner circle group and ask that question. And there's either members who can answer it, or I've got people I know who I can ask. It may be a silly question, and there's no such thing as a silly question in the inner circle. The only silly question is not to ask the question. That's the thing with it. And so you can ask a question, for an example, I've got this site that's not ranking at all. Can't be found in Google. I've tried everything. What do I do? Now, I would probably say that possibly your domain name's damaged. If you've registered it with the Search Console and you've tried everything you can, it's still not being found. Buy another domain name, clone the site to the new domain name, and try that. That's a very simple example of one of the things I would try to see if the site's got a problem or not. It's having the backup. You know something? Before I was working with Robert and doing DFY Magic Themes, I'd done other projects that had failed. I had one project in question for a customer. I built a massive website for them, and we tried everything to get it to rank. And in the end, I managed to get hold of a guy for a friend of mine who knew more at the time. I know a lot more about SEO now than I did back then. This is probably about 10 years ago now. And I had him have a look at the site, and he says it wasn't the content, it wasn't the design of the site. It was two things. One, the domain name had a problem because it been used before for saying that it shouldn't have been used for. And secondly, it was a hosting company it was with that were causing problems, right? And the hosting company, it wasn't a WordPress site, by the way, it was a Wix site. And we tried everything. And then when I found out what it was, I built him a site. We rebuilt the entire site on WordPress because it was the easiest platform to learn and use. Back then, by the way, WordPress was 10 times harder than it is now. Products like Cadence, it's drop and drag, it's click, click, click. When I started in WordPress, it was more, it was a lot more coding back then. So, you know, it wasn't easy. But we built a site in WordPress, and I spent weeks and weeks building it. We got it online, it ranked up, and I made money out of the guy in the end. I put a lot of hours in. But the thing that ultimately for me was when I got that first customer on board, my confidence came up a bit. He then recommended me to two other customers, and I got them on board, and I built them sites, and I went up a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. And so ultimately in the end, I then had to work out, well, what am I worth? And I decided, what do I want to earn a month that I'm comfortable with? And I worked out what I wanted to earn a month. I divided that by the number of hours I was prepared to work, and that gave me a rough hourly figure that I wanted to make. And then I said, right, how many customers do I need in my pool of customers to make that much money an hour? And once I knew my figures, I got my figures written down and the number of customers I needed, that made life a damn sight easier, because then my goal was 25 customers, for an example. You know, a certain amount per month. So the idea behind it was to put the time and effort in on knowing your business. It's the same as knowing your customers. It's no good me, DFY Magic Themes, going after someone who wants to set up a Shopify account and sell children's clothing on a shop. They're not going to be interested in what we do with DFY Magic Themes. So you have to know your customers. You have to look in the right direction. And ultimately, the best way of getting customers is word of mouth. So you get a couple of customers on board and ask them to recommend you. So to get the best support for them, you need a support network behind you.
Exactly. And I don't want to interrupt you, but I do. You can't. Don't try to recreate the wheel. Don't try to offer things that are so far out of your league that you'll never be able to deliver unless you have outsources already set up, unless you already have that support system already set up. Go to something that's basic. You know, if you're offering, I don't know, plumbers, right? The niche plumbers, and that's the site that you have with DFY Magic Themes, then you're going after plumbers, and all of a sudden the plumbers, guess what? They're not going to talk to their friends and say, hey, I found the best website guy in the world for my plumbing site, because they're his competition. But he'll offer you every other niche out there. And that's why it's important to us that we keep expanding the niches, because then it makes it easier for you guys to offer those niches. But don't overwhelm yourself with services that people think you should offer them. Offer what you can deliver to them. And then you won't get stressed out when that comes. Because if you're ready and you have the answers before the question hits you, you can tell them, I don't do GMB services, but I have 4 other associates that do, or whatever, you know. And if you do GMB, fine, whatever, you know, it's great. If you do video recordings and that's your thing, great. But if you don't, have somebody that does video. But you have to be ready for what they're going to ask you. And in most cases, they just want to know what you have to offer because they don't know themselves yet what you can or can't do. So coming back to the support system, if you're out there buying products that's promising you the world and it doesn't have a support system to get your answers to your questions and help you support your clients, if that's the business model that you're in, think about it. think how important that is, because now you're not a middleman anymore. You're the person that the client is paying. You're the guy that got the check, so to speak. And you have to deliver based on you got the check.
Mm.
And for me, I can't let that person down. You're paying me. I can't let them down. I can't take your money unless I'm over delivering what I promised you.
Yeah.
And you have to think that way. You have to be ready for that. I don't know if it was last week or week before, weeks go by so fast, Stephen, I can't remember what day it is, but we did the spreadsheet where you could calculate what it takes to hit your goals, what it takes to, like Stephen, you were just talking about, how much do I have to work? What do I have to do? What is this amount of money that I want to make? How do I achieve that? And we had a whole, a spreadsheet that would calculate the formulas for that. If you're not thinking that way, and you're just like going around in circles, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to have a goal, you have to have a plan, and you have to have a support system set up. We're telling you this and we're talking about this because we feel that there's a lot of people that want to get started. First of all, they don't know where to start, and they don't know who's going to support them. And that's a big driving force behind Done For You Magic Teams, is to make sure that we can support the people with the questions that they have. So I asked Stephen today before the call, what's everybody been putting in the support desk lately? Is there any questions that we really need to cover on the weekly calls? And he said there's hasn't been a lot of tickets, and most of the questions have been something that went wrong with email, something that went wrong with a particular site on the hosting server, little things like that. But it hasn't been build questions. It hasn't been, how do I build my site? How do I do this? We don't get that, because our training, I think, is pretty dang complete. And it's pretty step by step to get you to building. Now, it's up to you whether you're going to take the steps and move forward and have a goal to work towards. Is it one site? Is it 2 sites? Is it 10 sites? Is it 100 sites? I'm very excited because we started talking about it last week about doing the building bootcamp for Done For You Magic Teams. And we're going to build sites, and we're going to, I don't know how we're going to do it exactly. We're going to go from A to Z, build the sites, set them up, and make sure that the sites are supported with all the appropriate tools that we can put behind them so that they rank. And in that process on the boot camp, are we going to cover onboarding in the boot camp, Steve?
Yes, my plans are. I'm someone, I like to pre-record a lot of stuff, only because whenever I've done live recordings, the internet can play up. You can't get online. So I chatted with Robert, and what we're going to do. The school holidays are on in the UK, so for the next 6.5 weeks, the kids are off. So what we're going to do over the next 4 weeks, in between the kids, me looking after the kids, is me and Robert are going to record segments for the boot camp, so it's all ready to roll. And we're going to build. Robert's going to build a site. I'm going to build a site, and then part of it is once it's built, I'm then going to start doing onboarding calls or emails, and I'm going to show how I do that, how I reach out to people. We're going to show you in the boot camp how to exactly do that to get someone on board initially, to get them to trust in what you're doing. A very simple example of that, there's a local business group that meet up monthly here in Crewcam, where I am. And I've just reached out to the organizer of it to say I might be interested in coming along. And they said, please do. And I'm not going along to sell. I'm going along to get to know people initially. Because people know people know people. So when they know you and they've met you and they trust you, it only really takes, let's say you meet a group of 50 people, and you go to these meetings regularly, and you start to get to know people in there. It only takes that small group of people to then say, well, I've got a website that's not doing very well. And then you could say, okay, well, I'll take a look at it and let you know. Now, what I would personally do, if you take a look at the person's website, is build one in their niche, outrank them, and then rent that one to them to get leads. Because it's far better to own the site yourself than put all the hard work and time into their site, ranking them, for them to only then say, well, you rank me now, I don't need to pay you anymore.
Right.
But if you own the domain name and you outrank them, or let's say they're not even on page 1 of Google, content is king. I always say this. That's why we put so much content into our own DFY Magic Themes builds. Content is king. Don't worry necessarily. I don't want people doing tons of of content that isn't relevant to the site. It has to be relevant to the site, but don't overthink it. I've seen sites that have been a single page site with content on them, and that all they've then done is created local pages, location pages, and then put that site up and it's ranked perfectly well in their local area. We talk about all sorts of things, how to rank your sites and doing the basics. It's not hard. People in the industry like to make you think it's hard and it's difficult, but it's not. And so, coming back to my main point was, once you get someone on board and they trust you and they're renting a site from you, then you can sell them other services on top. I would probably go down the route of, if someone's renting a site from me, I'd want to look at their GMB for them, optimize it, make add content, images, and if you're dealing with your local area, it doesn't take much to say, we haven't got many photos on your Google My Business. I don't take photos. Well, next time you're doing a job, give me a shout. Right? You have to pay me, I have to charge you for an hour's work, but I'll come out and I'll take photos of what you're doing and we'll get them on your Google My Business listing. We'll get them on the website. Because by you taking the photos yourself, guess what? You own copyright, not the client. So then if he ends up cancelling with you, I want my photos back. They're not your photos, I'm afraid. I took them. Nothing you can do about it. And get them to sign a waiver as well that you own those photos so you can use them however you want, just to save any legalities. But it just takes a couple of people in a meeting to say they've used you and you're brilliant, and then conversations mount up. I was saying on that spreadsheet that we had on calculations, if you're charging $99 a month just to rent the site and not rank it because they needed a website, 10 of those is $1,000 a month. Put one in the chat now if $1,000 a month would help you in your lives right now. But I tell you now, for me it would.
Whoever didn't is lying.
Yeah. And then so the way I would do it is I'd build, in my local area, 5 plumber sites, get them up, get Twilio numbers on them, get them routing through to local businesses, and then reach out and see who can get on board. If I got one person in Crewcon renting a site from me, and then I turn around and say, hey, by the way, I've got a site over in Yeovil, which is the next town over, and I've got a site in Taunton, the next town over. You can have them as well. And instead of paying $300, I'll do a discount. All right, you can have all 3 for $250 a month.
$250, yeah.
They'll go, well, I'm pleased with the first one. Yeah, I'll cover those areas as well. I have them. Also recommendations. So you say to someone, you're paying that $99 a month for the minute. Yeah. How'd you like it for free? Pardon? How'd you like it for free? Get 4 people to sign up under me for sites in these niches, because you're a plumber. Find 4 other plumbers to sign up. I'll give you a site for free each month. If any one of those cancels any time, of course, then I have to come back to you and you have to start paying again. But as long as we got 4 people, great. If you get me more, then it safeguards your site. He'll go, I know a plumber in Taunton. I'll phone him up now. Oi, Dave, have you got a website? No, I've got this brilliant guy who's got a website. Boom, recommendation. And it doesn't take much to set these sites up. Another example of our sites, and I talk about having a call tracking number through Twilio. If they then want their own phone number on the website, you tell them it costs a bit more. Put the price up a bit. It's once you get a few people on board, then you have the confidence to sell to more and more people. 20 people is a nearly $2,000 a month. And then don't stop there. Think about the other niches. You get 5 plumbers on board, then you get 5 handymen on board, then you get 5 electricians on board, then you get 5 HVAC engineers, and so on. 5 words to get first. Who do you know? Who do you know? Who?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's right on. Right on point, Sarah.
And this is why we get excited about what we're doing and the up and coming products we've got. You guys know that, like, we got the Magic Call Center in production at the moment, and I've been told by the devs that in the next few days the text messaging forwarding version is going to be released. When that's done, we're then going to put version 1s into the members area for people who purchase the lifetime deal on it, and you'll be able to start playing around with it. And then as we go along, we're going to add more and more features over the next coming months. And you've got to remember, it takes the devs a little while to make things work with Twilio and get them all working smoothly. So it may be a couple more weeks before we have another feature. When we have, we upgrade it. And that's the exciting thing. When we've got all the features we want in there, then we're going to release it to the public as a monthly plan to have the Magic Call Center system with all the training. So these things are all progressing, really well. And, and we got some other inside information we've got to share with people on the inner circle in a minute, Robert.
Yep.
So is there anything you want to sum up on before we say goodbye to all the free channels?
For people that don't know us, you have to spend time. You have to do your research. You have to look into what you're doing. And I promise you can spend hours, days, weeks, years watching YouTube, and you can learn a lot. You can totally learn a lot. You can, and if you're self-motivated enough, you can probably get enough of the free training from different places to get rank and rent sites built. But what you're not looking at or considering when you're doing that is, I don't want to spend money, so I'm going to spend whatever it takes to watch all of these YouTube videos to learn everything that I can, and then I can do it myself. Wonderful. Go for it. Don't give up. And if that's you, then do it. However, just one thought. If it takes you 3 months, 6 months, a year to figure it out on your own, would it be better to spend the money instead of the time and get a pre-built theme and have the training behind it for when you have a hiccup and you can't get it built, or you can't get something figured out, that you can get it built?
Yeah.
It's always because that's me. I'm the first one to tell you, I never wanted to pay for a tutor. Well, who was my tutor? The guy I'm partners with now. Because I reached that point of a year and a half of frustration and stress and spending money on things that I didn't need to have.
And you reached out to me and I charge you a monthly fee.
No, I just was you. I was one of you guys that just don't want to spend that money on a tutor, but I'm listening to other people selling me their snake oil, if you will, right? And yeah. I'm taking the magic pills and I'm drinking the snake oil, and I'm not getting anything done except putting money in their pocket. But I don't know that because I'm infatuated with them because I think they're going to help me. But when it comes down to it, the most successful people out there pay for the tutor, pay for the coaching, pay for the upgraded versions of stuff to advance their knowledge. And when you get that mentality, you'll see there's a difference. However, if you don't have the money, you can't spend it. I get it. No, I get it. But find the program that's going to fit your needs. Don't just buy it because it sounds good if you don't know who they are and what they do and what they support. If there's no support and there's no reviews, chances are depending on what it's supposed to do. It may help you, it may not. But I'm telling you from experience, you can spend years out there buying things that will never get you where you want to be.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about us, go to rankrentwebsites.com. You end up on our email list, but we don't spam you with emails, so don't worry. And the cool thing about that as well, when we launch the boot camp, you can be first to know about it.
Right.
Plain and simple, right?
Do we have the place that they're going to go for the boot camp sign up? Is that preset or
that hasn't been preset yet? And that's it. That's going to be put together hopefully this week. And if you're on the Inner Circle, if you're Inner Circle member, you're going to get access for free. So don't worry. All right. So it always pays to be part of the Inner Circle. If you're in there, there'll be a link with a coupon code, and then we're going to push this out there to people. And we've got some great things coming up. We've got in the next few weeks 2 new themes, which we're going to talk about on the Inner Circle only, being added. Some for those that got L Messenger through me to get your Facebook leads. The free courses, using the free version of L Messenger, that training is almost finished, and I'm working on the pro version, easy step by step. As soon as using the free version of L Messenger is available, there'll be a link inside the members area for people to go and see that. And then, like I said, all the pro training will be added on beyond that as well. And it's step-by-step training again. So it's nice and easy to follow. And, I'm also putting together ready-made frameworks, which means you can just pull in all the various text codes that are in there. But that'll be all explained near the time. And that's advantage of being part of the Inner Circle. And we're going to switch to that now. If you want to be part of the Inner Circle, you got to go to DFY Magic Themes /live for you. That's LIVE 4 U, and come and join us there. But we're now going over to the Inner Circle. See all the free groups next week.
Have a great weekend, everybody.